Hi, this video is going to discuss safe area and it's pretty simple to start out and set it. So I want to show a little bit further, like there's more to the story than when you first start out, so that you have a good understanding of what can cause you to not be in your safe area. So when you first tap on Pantograph, it asks you to set your safe area, and I do recommend going to the edge of your backing, okay, not over here by your quilt top, but your backing, and then push your machine back, not so that it's squishing in there, but it's, you know, kind of lightly touching. And then you're going to touch top left, and then same with bottom right, only now you're bringing it forward. And again, go on past. Don't be staying over here. Get on past to the edge, and then pull it forward so that you can just kind of feel it lightly touching down back there, and touch bottom right. Okay. So when you first do that, when you first turn it on and do that, it auto fills into your total width and your total height. And if you ever need to refer back to what was the safe area, this is one of the places. There's others, but it's right there, the 5815 and the 1636, okay? So now that this is set, these, of course, are your safe area measurements. So your total width needs to be less than this amount. And then I just want to give you this visual. And this is another reason for going as far to the edge as you can. When you sew, you sew by zones. So a zone is however many partial row or rows will fit in your quilting space between your rails. So your zone must always fit inside your safe area. So if this book represents your safe area, and then this represents your zone, so that width is what gives you margin in placing your zone. Once you get over to your quilting screen, and you'll be placing your zone each time you advance your quilt. So the less margin you have, like if you barely had any margin, it can get harder to place. So that's why it's nice to have that, because if you place your zone so that it's here, or like that, or like that, it's going to show you out of safe area, because this must be placed so that it fits within. It's kind of like the little kid toy you see that has the star and the square and the circle. It's one of those little plastic balls, and the kid has to position it so that it'll drop into the ball. So it's the same with your zone. It has to, in effect, drop within that safe area. So I just wanted to give that visual there. Okay, so for total width, I'm going to go into the yellow ruler. We're just going to set up something real fast, and I'm going to tap on the left there with that green slanted, and come over here. I'm going just a little past the edge, and I'm going to tap on the right, and I'm going to say apply measurement, okay? And this quilt has already been quilted. I just laid it up here just so that there would be a nice visual to go by. All it needs is binding. Okay, so we're going to change this to Power Panto, because that's the very fastest. We're going to select a pattern. We'll pick this one, a little bit of this from Urban Elements. Okay, open. And now we'll give it a little bit of spacing. And we're not going to worry too much. And then total height, we're going to say it's 55. Okay, so now I have this ready to go. And I have two ways that I can save it. Actually, with Power Panto, it's three. But in all of your Pantograph screens, you'll have that blue disc up there, okay? So you can save it there, and then also with Power Panto, you have down here that says Save Panto. And if you want to tap Show Safe Area, that kind of gives you a reference of what's going to fit between the zones. And I'm going to say Save Panto, and we're just going to call this SA, Enter, Save. We did that for Safe Area. Okay, so now when you tap on Read Panto, and there it is, SA. okay, and it gives it a .pow. Okay, we're going to say cancel, so we know it's saved. Okay, so when I tap on Sew in Zones, it's going to ask again about saving, okay? And that's a different file than this one. When you save a file with the blue disk, or you save in PowerPanto down here, that is a file you can make further edits to. When you tap on Sew in Zones and you're prompted to save, that's a zone file that you cannot make further edits to. And if you were to stop for the night and come back on another day and tap on Resume Zone Sewing Session, it is that zone file that it opens, which that protects you from making further changes, because if you're mid-quilt, you probably don't want to do that. And then you tap on that and you open that zone file we're about to save, and it will take you into Zone Manager. So we're going to tap on Sew in Zones. And we're going to say, yes, we want to save it. And we're going to do SA again, enter, save. Okay, now I want to go directly on into Zone Manager, because this is something that you really need to understand totally. Okay, so this is a rolling rail frame, so the width should always be 100%, because you're always going to do 100% width. The percent on the height has to do with the throat size of your machine, and it's a suggested amount. I have a 21 inch, and so suggested is 95. And you do that percent because you're going to have your quilt building up on your take-up rail. Now, you know that depending on what kind of backing you use, if you use a thick, fluffy, minky backing, are you using 2 layers of batting, there's things that can make a difference. So you may want to, as you do some of your quilts, when you get to the bottom, you may want to just check and see how much quilting space I have. And the reason that matters is because you don't want to have this number be greater than what you really have, okay? Because QCT is trusting you with this number. And what that 15.55 is, that is 95% of that safe area height that we had. And so QCT is trusting that it can move this machine 15.5 inches, okay? So if it doesn't have 15.5 inches, but it thinks it does, then it could, run into the rail. So you want to be very honest with it. So that's why as you do different types of quilts, different lengths, different stuff, you may want to get a feel for your machine, so that there may be times when you could do 96%, or you better do 94%. But 95 overall has been good for me. I haven't had a problem with it. But here's one thing that can happen is if I were to be doing a quilt that had a minky backing, and maybe I was even using a couple of layers, and just a super thick quilt, and I don't stop till I'm closer. Maybe I stop when I'm already down there, okay? So when I go to set my safe area, I'm not going to be able to push my machine as far back and pull it as far forward as when I first started out. It's going to have a very different safe area. And so that's where sometimes people are getting issues. So when you have that happen, look at what's happening here. Has your percent height changed from what it needs to be? If I were to come in here and all of a sudden it wants my height to be 97, then that's a problem. And I need to measure. What are my true inches that I really have. So just to make it a little bit more plain. And when you do that resume zone sewing, this is where you're going to come and you're going to select the zone that you need to start back. and that's when some people are seeing messages. So if I wanted to measure how much height do I have left, then I can go into just that yellow ruler, and I can push it back and tap there, and then move it straight forward. I'm not going to pull it all the way, and tap there, and so now I have 12.2, but I really didn't push it and pull it very far. But that's just a way for you to check, just check and see what inches do I have left when I do a certain length quilt, and that can help you with what is the best percent for you to use if you're wanting to be really careful about that. So so I'm going to tap out of this, and here's what I want to do. We're going to tap on sewing zones, but we're going to change the safe area, and then we're going to tap on that resume zone sewing session. So I can just kind of show you. We're going to say no. Okay, so we're going to tap on this red toolbox, and we're going to say set safe area. And it gives you a message there. We're going to say yes. And so I'm not going to push my machine back all the way, okay? I'm going to pretend there's been some buildup, and probably more buildup than there really might be, okay? So I'm going to say top left, and then I'm going to come over here. And again, I'm not going to pull my machine all the way forward. I'm going to push it back a little. And I'm going to say bottom right. Okay, so now it has a very different safe area than when I started out. So I'm going to tap on pantograph and resume zone sewing. And it may work. It may be that everything is okay. And we're going to tap on, I couldn't see for looking, open. And it takes a few minutes. And now look what happened. It says I need 100% height. Well, that's not a good thing, because if I were to, if I were to say okay right now and go to place my quilt, let's see, place my zone, let's see. I think I'm roughly in the center, and tap there. Look, so see, there's a problem, and that's what. Sadly, that's what I was hoping would happen, so that you would see that. So I need to change that to 95, okay? And say, okay. And then you start getting questions, and you're given the option, do not show again. I'm going to say no. And now, when I place it, I'm going to, well, I must not have had it. Oh, I probably had it too far back. But sometimes you'll see that it's going to give you a smaller zone maybe than when you first started out, because you're losing part of your quilting area. But just out of curiosity, I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to change it to 100. Because I want you to see that you can kind of play with these things and see what you can figure out. Nope. See, it would be really, 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 really hard to try and place it. So just be very aware. Be very aware when you have resumed zone sewing session. Watch out for this, and if it's changed your percent height on you, change it to what it needs to be, and check on what are those inches. And then you could even hold a yardstick up. You could push your machine back as far as you can, and just do a yardstick and pull it forward and just see how many inches, then compare. Because bottom line, this amount, this actual inches under height, should never be greater than what you actually have. So watch out for that. So I hope that will help you with setting safe area, and it gives you a little better understanding of it's not just a matter of setting it when you first start out. It's how that interacts with your total width of your actual panto. So one of the one of the first things you do when you see that safe area is, if you've got a problem, just let that be your starting point. Um, is whatever you set this to be, and it's redone things. So we'll open this back up. But do that. Look at your total width here, and then tap on your yellow ruler and see what is your safe area width up there. And make sure that safe area width is a larger number than this. This total width must be smaller. And that will keep you from being out of safe area right there. But the other has to do with that percent height over there in Zone Manager. So I hope that this has given you a few things to watch out for, and that when you see you're out of safe area, you'll be able to get yourself back right, so that you'll be back safe. And so I hope this has helped.